Come and dream with me.
Hello, welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premier media podcast. Every week we get together to talk about movies, TV, and online content and help you answer the question, will Cocaine Bear be our favourite bear? I certainly hope so. We don't know.
Of the year or like...
I know. I was thinking this week, after I posted what the top three for this week should be, I thought, fuck, I messed up. It should have been top three bears. That's what I should have done this week. I'm your host, Ashley Hobley. Join me today, Dylan Blight.
Yeah, happy to be here talking about bears.
Except we're not talking about bears because it's coming out this week. But
well, I mean, we just spent like last minute talking about bears, but
that's true.
Coco Bear, Winnie the Pooh Bear. What else is there at the moment? I'm sure there's another bear. Magic Mike's a bear.
I don't think he is.
Okay, that's okay. It's fine.
Alright, on today's episode, we'll be telling you what's in our watch history, talking about a little bit of film news, giving some thumbs to trailers, and talking about this week's top three. Of course, the big release of last week, Ant-Man and The Wasp, Quantumania. We did a full spoiler cast over on all new Marvel cast, which you can go check out if you watched the movie, like many did, as it grossed, obviously won the weekend, making $100 million or more worldwide, or at least domestically in America. So yeah, big financial success. But Dylan, what did you think of Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania?
I was very disappointed by Ant-Man and the Wasp. It was nothing like the charming movies that came before it. It just sort of felt like a movie that was made for the sake of making it, which I feel like a lot of Marvel movies have felt like at the moment. Yeah, there's some decent performances in here. There's some slightly interesting world design, I guess, of the quantum verse, but all in all, I've nearly forgot everything I watched and I'm ready to move on with my life. And I don't know if I'll even watch it again. I usually watch everything Marvel at least once more when it comes out. But...
maybe when it comes to Disney Plus.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I don't have strong feelings either way. I think it was just a fine, okay movie. I think, like you said, I feel like it is tonally so different to the first two films and tonally different to what we expected going in that it's kind of off-putting. It's desperately trying to be... everybody keeps calling it a Star Wars movie. And I think that's, a bit of a stretch. It is definitely a science fiction movie. There are aliens in it, It's very otherworldly and that kind of stuff. But, I think, that's a terrible generalization of the genre as a whole to just bring it back to Star Wars. Yeah, I mean, obviously the big draw for this one is Jonathan Majors as Kang, meant to be the big bad of this phase. I think he's very good. He's got a cool look. He's a very dominating presence. But yeah, this is a very ridiculous movie at times. Yeah, kind of listening to some other people talk about it as well. Like, it's interesting how much of an influence that like Rick and Morty has had on the MCU.
Well, the writers wrote episodes
from Rick and Morty. So, even it was like the guy who's made of goo. It's like, oh, you need to drink me. Do you want to drink more of me? Drink my body. I got no holes.
It's me, Mr. Macy. Drink my holes. I got my holes in my body. Whoa,
wow, you
Rick.
can't do that voice, Dylan. He's cancelled.
I can't do the voice. No, the actors. So someone else will just get hired to do the exact same fucking voice. So.
Then you can do an impression of that person doing the impression.
I was going to say, he's also not cancelled. He's potentially going to jail.
Is he? I don't know. Oh, yeah.
He's getting charged.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so like...
potentially. Probably not. Yeah. So obviously, it's interesting. This is equal with Eternals as the lowest rated film on Rotten Tomatoes of the MCU. So that's the bar. if you haven't seen it yet, going in. But yeah, I mean, it's okay. I think you could probably wait till it comes out on Disney Plus in like a month and a half to see it. All right.
I think you could just not watch it at all. There's
mean,
also an alternative. Like, just
no, they need to watch it and then listen to our spoilercast over an all-new Marvelcast. Or just listen to our spoilercast and not watch it.
Just listen to the spoilercast and just hear me explain why it's not a good movie.
Whichever result ends in you listening to all new Marvelcast is a win. So yeah. Pretty light watch history this week. I finished watching The Legend of Vox Machina Season 2. Of course, this is the animated series based on the Critical Role Campaign 1, in which a band of adventurers this season have to fight off a bunch of dragons. Really enjoyable. I think this season they definitely shook up the events of the events from the campaign. Like, they took a lot of liberties and like they separate the party at certain points, and certain people go and do this mission that everybody was at, and then other people go do this mission that everybody was at separately. So it doesn't feel like a retread. The pacing issues that I felt like that I had an issue with in the first season, I don't have any with this season. I feel like the fact that they've been pretty much guaranteed that they can run the show as long as they want. They've pretty much been given a blank check, and however many seasons they want to make the show means they've been able to slow down, and like they've kind of giving this arc enough time to play itself out, and don't need to rush through killing all 4 members of the Chroma Conclave in one season. Yeah, I think it was really fun. Obviously, hitting a lot of emotional moments that are important to fans of the show, of Critical Role. Lots of cool voice actors and appearances and little cameos. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to season 3. Whenever that comes, probably.
I was gonna say, is that confirmed? Or?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's confirmed. I mean, they've already signed Critical Role up for a second TV series, so. Okay. And they've given a first look deal, so Prime Video is putting a bunch of money on Critical Role. This is an interesting question that I've had a thought about recently. Are we getting even closer to animation being for everybody? I guess, but you see, Legend of Vox Machina, Rick and Morty, Invincible, is animated shows. Could animated shows almost getting to the level of live action stuff in the West?
I don't really understand. So, this question, when there's always been South Park, Futurama, Simpsons as non-kids, they're not kid shows. Like, South Park's definitely adults, but Simpsons and Futurama were never kid shows. They're just general, but I wouldn't say they're for kids. So, I guess the difference between them is a lot of these things are more like M-rated rather than Simpsons, Futurama, I guess. So, but there's always been adult animated stuff. I remember watching like a bunch of adult animated stuff on late night SBS that definitely wouldn't hold up today under like what I view as okay. But there's always been.
That's true. Yeah.
Adult animated stuff. So, I mean, what's the called channel? Adult Swim.
Yeah, that's
literally the whole thing. So, I mean, Rick and Morty's just, I guess, helped elevate that because it's so popular. But
is adult animation becoming more mainstream?
Yeah, I guess so. Like, I'd say, yeah, through Rick and Morty, then over the last few years.
Well, that plus all the Netflix series and.
Yeah, I know, but like as much as the current creators' problems with Rick and Morty is, I do feel like that show is the catalyst for a lot of other shows' popularity.
Yeah, definitely interesting, culturally, to see the the change kind of happening of like lots of big properties, like they're happy to have an animated show, whereas they were desperate to try and get live action.
Now, if only they could make animated movies for adults, not just kids.
Crazy. What a crazy world we live in.
Crazy.
So I watched the documentary David Stratton, A Cinematic Life. This is a documentary for like following the career of David Stratton, kind of, who was obviously an Australian film critic, best known for... It's come
out like 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, I've wanted to watch this for ages. Yeah.
So it's obviously an Australian film critic, best known for doing At the Movies, but also writing for various publications around the world, and also being credited with like helping a lot of Australian films get known internationally. I believe the thing was he was the first critic to write a review for Strictly Muriel's Wedding in Variety. So giving that film a huge boost internationally. But it's also like, while it does kind of delve into Stratton's career and that kind of stuff, it's also intercut with a bunch of like looks at a bunch of Australian films. So it's half Australian film retrospective, half David Stratton biography or documentary, I guess. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I think, it gave me a lot of appreciation for a bunch of these Australian films that I haven't watched. Probably need to get around to doing. So yeah, I would recommend checking that out for any film buffs. I mean, and it's also like nice to see him and Margaret like talking about stuff. And obviously there's like, they obviously play one of their several conversations where she's like, I give it 5 stars, and he's like, I give it half a star. You know?
Is it Sex and the City?
I don't. They didn't actually name a movie.
I was gonna say there was one episode where they do Sex and the City, and I don't think I'm even over exaggerating when I'm pretty sure it was the first or second movie, and Margaret gave it like a 4 or 5, and David just went, Margaret, 1 star. I used to watch At the Movies religiously, like look forward to it every week, and then when it got cancelled, I was so pissed off.
But I don't know if it was cancelled or they just...
It was cancelled via the government because of lack of funding. Yeah, fucking John Howard. That and Glass House. You used to watch Glass House all the time?
Glass House, yeah.
Yeah, I used to have like all my ABC shows and they all got fucked over because of fucking John Howard.
We assume. I can't
No,
think.
I know.
Yeah. It was before 2005, right? So John Howard. But yeah. The other interesting story to come out of it was obviously his coverage of what's the Russell Crowe film where he's a neo-Nazi?
Romper Stomper.
Romper Stomper, and how he just like, I don't want to rate this film. I have no interest in discuss. And so you get his talking about it, but then you also get the director of the film giving his version of events as well, to the extent where he threw a glass of wine in David Stratton's face at one point at an event.
That's what I find, that whole, like, that story has always been interesting to me, and just like a proving stone that when we get into these whole things, like be it Hogwarts Legacy at the moment and all these sorts of things, like about like reviewing things and like how it's a reviewer's job and have to review stuff. Like I remember like reading about the Romper Stomper thing with David Stratton, a well-respected movie critic who refused to review stuff. And I know there's also been stuff like Siskel and Edbert would refuse to review at different points. As I think there was at least 1 or 2 movies they refused to review. So I just always think it's interesting when, the hardcore right nuts like try to say it's a new age sort of, it's a woke thing or whatever else. But people have always, throughout history, reviewers for different reasons
that they want to do. Yeah.
And whether or not you fall on the line of Stratton was wrong, it doesn't really matter because it was his choice. Like,
no, he saw the movie, I believe. He just did,
he watched it. He refused to review it.
Yeah, to give it a rating, or whatever. But like he said, him doing that like spurred the audience for the film because everybody. Yeah,
because then it made it like a what the fuck is it? Is it that fucked up? Like, what's the what's the story? So. No,
the director says if I saw him again, I'd throw a glass of wine at him again. Except this time, I'll make sure it's white because it must have been red the first time. Yeah, and also the other interesting story was him talking about how he changed his opinion on the castle. Initially, he wasn't a fan, and then came to appreciate it on rewatching. So that's a key thing. Change the ability to change of heart, change your mind on things. Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was a really good documentary, and yeah, definitely added a few films to my list that I should get around to watching. It's a long list, but yeah. Let's move into the mandatory Netflix segment of the show. Dylan, you watched the first couple of episodes of Lockwood and Co.
Yeah, I did. I'm enjoying it. I feel like it does, as you were saying last week, hit that sort of. It is that teen supernatural vibe thing, but it's doing really well. I think that what I liked the most about the show so far is just it's not doing that thing where they're ghost hunting, but it's in secret and it's like a whole thing. It's just this world, and I'm only 2 episodes in, but so far it's just like everyone knows it's ghosts. People get trained up and they hunt ghosts. It's like it's a thing that happens in the world. It's a job. You need to take down ghosts. But also I thought the first episode where the main character is the girl, whatever her name is, and she goes through the whole school and it's like mostly like a training thing and whatever else. And by the time you get to the end of the episode, it just went from like, oh, this is sort of lighthearted fun to like actually sort of got sort of dark there for a moment where like all her friends basically die. So
yeah,
like,
or worse.
Or worse. So, but no, I like the characters. I like the banter between the main 3, the back and forth between them all. I'll be keen to watch more. I think I'll definitely finish this one. So,
all right, cool. Well, I checked out Catching the Killer Nurse. So this is the documentary about the serial killer Charles Cullen, which the story of got adapted into the film The Good Nurse. I think it's called The Good Nurse.
Yeah, The Good Nurse.
Yeah. So it follows. Yeah, it's kind of a documentary following how this man went around working at several hospitals, pretty much giving drugs to people who didn't need these drugs and killing them, for his own demented needs. Yeah, kind of. It's kind of weird because it's throughout the film they use like audio recordings of his like confessions, of like kind of giving reasons as to why he did this. Like he didn't want these people to hurt anymore. Trying to give off the impression that he was like doing mercy killings and that kind of stuff. But it wasn't mercy killings. There were a lot of people who were on their way out of the hospital. We're going to go home, and he suddenly decided, like, for whatever reason, decided he was going to target them, and that kind of stuff. Yeah, kind of obviously interviewing a lot of his co-workers, and then the lead detectives who finally like kind of crack the case, starting with investigating these couple of poisoning incidents at this one hospital, and then kind of finding his track record through many hospitals of similar occurrences, and several other police investigations that weren't able to have enough evidence to like do anything. Yeah, kind of a story about perseverance more than anything else, you know. But also, as terrible as this person, it also like is super fucked up that these hospitals kind of swept everything up. They continued to each time he would kind of get caught, he would just be fired or asked to resign and would be allowed to move on to something else rather than the hospital get a bad rap for having a murdering.
This is the thing that's always. I haven't watched this or I haven't watched the other movie, but the thing on the synopsis that always interested me is I'm like, and I've read like the general idea that they knew from other hospitals and that's how they like that sort of stuff. And I always wondered like, do they not call? Like they hire the other hospital hires him, you know, like they reference check, hey, this dude worked here, like what's the go? And then someone's like, yeah, he's totally fine. Like
these are for-profit hospitals, so
they don't ring anyone.
No. They're reliant on people coming to their hospitals, so they don't want to get bad press. So they just give him a nonchalant, like neutral reference They let him move on. Very fucked up. And the other thing, this was in 2003. I was kind of... I thought it was more recent, I guess. But I guess I'm glad that it's happened so long ago. But yeah, just the kind of method and like all this kind of stuff, and like how he would have to take out all these drugs and that kind of thing, and obviously mattered. You know, the things he did enacted laws that stopped future hims from doing this. Hopefully, so yeah, really interesting documentary. Am I going to watch this movie? Probably not. Don't need to know at this point. You know, even though I'm sure Jessica Chastain and Eddie Redmayne are good.
I've still got it on my list. I don't know if I'll ever get around to it, but it's sitting there on my Netflix list for a maybe one day thing.
Maybe one day. All right, that's everything in our What's History. Let's get into a little bit of film news. The BAFTAs happens this week. Of course. By now, fingers crossed, I'll have uploaded our Oscar predictions for this year. We were joined by Buddy Watson. You can check those out. But we recorded that before the BAFTAs. But at the BAFTAs this year, All Quiet at the Western Front reigned supreme, taking out 7 awards, including Best Picture and Best Director, taking 7 awards home from possible 14 nominations. Dylan, is All Quiet at the Western Front a possible Academy Award Best Picture winner? No.
I just don't see it. There's not a bone in my body that feels like that movie has any chance. Nothing against the movie. I think the movie's fantastic. I just don't see it at all. I feel like for the BAFTAs, I'm not surprised. British,
let's try to keep it European at least.
Yeah. That kind of makes a bit more sense there. When I saw it won, I wasn't surprised. Whereas I swear, if I'm sitting there watching the Oscars or if I'm at work and I fucking see it on Twitter or whatever, if I see that movie win any of the major awards, I'll be like, oh damn. But all right, I would put it pretty low on my list of chances. Yeah.
Really interesting. They're obviously taking home that big award. As considering it was a movie that kind of came out of left field. Other notable winners
as well.
Huh?
It's a remake as well. So
remake, yeah. Well, it's a very old film, so I mean it's not that bad. Other notable winners: Cate Blanchett took out Best Lead Actress. Austin Butler beat out Brendan Fraser, Colin Farrell, Darren McCormack, Paul Mescal, and Bill Nighy for Best Lead Actor in a Film. Best Supporting Actor and Supporting Actress both came from Banshees of Inisherin. Barry Keoghan for Actor and Kerry Condon for Actress, which featured some controversy because apparently they had Troy Cotter present the award, and either him or the interpreter messed up and announced Carey Mulligan won. So yeah, that's awkward. Best adapted screenplay went to All Quiet on the Western Front. Best original screenplay went to Banshees. Best animated film went to Pinocchio, and best documentary went to Navalny. So yeah, lots of big categories, big wins over there, leading up to the Academy Awards. Of course, at the same time, pretty much, the Directors Guild of America Awards were happening at the same time, with the Daniels taking home the award for best director for feature film, which is generally a massive indicator. Do we think the Daniels are a shoo-in to win at the Academy Awards?
I don't think they're a shoo-in, but they're definitely top 3.
Are they top 2? Top 1?
No, I'm counting them as one unit. The
Daniels. So top.
So
okay.
The top 3 still as 2 people.
Yeah. Listen to our predictions to see which way we're all swayed on this one, but I think I was kind of surprised. But yeah, other notable winners at the GGAs, Charlotte Wells won for After Sun as Best First Time Feature Director. Sam Levinson won for Euphoria for Best Drama Series. The episode Stand Still Like a Hummingbird, beating out Jason Bateman for Ozark, Vince Gilligan for Better Call Saul, Aoife Ardle for Severance and Ben Stiller for Severance. While Bill Hader won for his episode of Barry, 710N. 710 North? I still don't know. And Station 11 won something, for Panzer Station 11. Got something there.
I feel like that show came out like 2 years ago, to be honest.
It feels like it, but
yeah.
People love it. Won't shut up about it.
I still want to watch it, but I honestly feel like it came out 2 years ago. It's crazy.
Yeah. All right. Reading from the Hollywood Reporter. The Dragons of Vikings are taking the skies again. Once again, this time in live action. Taking a massive swing, Universal Pictures has put in motion a How to Train Your Dragon live action movie with Dean DeBlois, the filmmaker behind the original animated trilogy, back in the saddle as writer, director, and producer. The feature project is already steps into the development process. Universal has dated the feature for March 14th, 2025, and sources also say the casting process is already underway. This new dragon will adapt the trilogy of movies that were made by DreamWorks Animation, released in the 2010s to great acclaim. The first movie, released in 2010, earned Academy Award nominations for Best Animated Film and Score. The second and third notched Best Animated Film Oscar nominations. The trilogy was also a hit with audiences, grossing more than $1.6 billion at the box office. Dylan, do you want to see a live-action version of Hiccup and Toothless?
No, I do not. I don't feel like this will work as well, anywhere near as well, in live action, solely because I feel like the main reason people like these movies is the beautiful animation and the lovable Toothless just characterization and general characterization between the characters and stuff, I guess. Because there's some like epic shit and fights and, serious stuff that happens in these movies for like they ride the line of that sort of PG between being kids and sort of hitting towards that older teen audience, I guess. But I feel like for the most people, the reason the movies were hit was because, they're fun, they're charming and whatever else. You can't, like, if you want to do live action, the dragons are going to look like I don't see it. I don't see it being anywhere near as successful. This is a story where animation was the preferred best way, I guess, to
tell
do
that
these
story.
books. Yeah, tell that story. So
yeah, I tend to agree. Not necessarily because the dragons won't be, realistic or like lovable if they're in live action.
Think about
CGI.
How to Train Your Dragon 3 with that romance scene and just try and picture him doing his little dance and everything.
I think it's harder to do cartoony humor in live action.
Yes.
Like, I think it's who's going to suffer is all the side character kids.
Like the twins.
How are you going to do the dumb twins? How are you going to do the nerdy kid? All them. How are you going to tackle all that? I feel like we could do dragons are possible. It's completely down to design and execution of the CGI, whether that works or not. But so much of this is reliant on the kids they cast to pull off the connections and that kind of stuff. And I don't know if I'm sure it is possible, but I don't have high hopes. And it's
Millie Bobby Browney's got another job.
Maybe.
And then the rest of it cast someone else from Stranger Things too. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Mike, whoever plays Mike, he would be pretty solid Hiccup.
Yeah.
He looks like Jay Baruchel. Even though Hiccup looks nothing like Jay Baruchel. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting, at least it's cool that they've got the original director involved and bringing it to live action. That gives me some sort of hope that,
won't be shit.
It won't, well, it'll be, it'll honor the original trilogy, and, honor that legacy and that kind of stuff. But, yeah, it's rough, these live action films. I don't know if we've had a live action adaptation yet that's been a success. like all like financial and critical success.
No, not that I can think of. Christopher Robin?
I don't think that it made any money.
It's a good movie though.
It's fine. So here's an interesting one. Hellboy is headed back to the big screen. Deadline confirms that a reboot of the demonic hero titled Dead Hellboy, The Crooked Man, is in works at Millennium Media and Dark House Entertainment. The Crooked Man will feature the third live-action iteration of Hellboy, following the ones played by Ron Perlman and David Harbour. The script is being co-written by Hellboy co-creator Mike Mignola and his frequent collaborator Christopher Golden. Brian Taylor is set to direct. Brian Taylor, the director of films like Crank and Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. Deadline confirms the production will start in Bulgaria come March, and casting conversations are well underway. That seems like they're pushing it very far.
That's next week, guys.
Yeah. According to Discussing Film, the studio is seeking a younger actor in their 20 to 30s to play the new Hellboy. That's because The Crooked Man takes place at an earlier point in Hellboy's life than previous films, the 1950s to be precise. Adapted from the comic storyline of the same name, The Crooked Man sees Hellboy and another rookie agent of the Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense stranded in Appalachia, where they run afoul of a witch coven led by a figure from Hellboy's past. In the comics, the Crooked Man is Jeremiah Wickens, an arms dealer who sold weapons to both sides of the American Revolution and Civil War. Dylan, Hellboy, are you...
No,
did you even watch the second one?
No, I didn't.
Second iteration?
But I like Hellboy, like, character
In
and
concept.
comic books and whatnot, like, in concept, yeah. I just hate this thing where they the first reboot, if you want to call it that, with David Harbour a couple of years ago. I had no problem with that. I was like, it's been a while. That's fair. Like, Guillermo just sort of had his little two movies, keep them separate. Whatever, that's fine. But I hate the whole, well, we're just rebooting it now because that last one failed terribly. So let's just reboot everything now. Like, and then what happens if this one fails? Do you just reboot it again 2 years from now? You know, you just keep rebooting until something works. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, the only saving grace for me is that Mike Mignola is directly involved in the script. And I assume in the producing and will be behind it in some more sort of way, maybe be more creatively involved. But yeah, it just seems like it's happening very quickly. It feels more like you read that they're going to start filming in March. They haven't even cast Hellboy yet. That's
right.
Reads like they've got they're trying to get it in to keep the rights or something like that, which doesn't really make a lot of sense.
You know, a scene in Babylon where they races to get the camera, and then they get up the top, and Spike Jonze, who's playing that director, he's just fucking fantastic, and he's just like, "No, we got the last light." That's what they're doing for March. They're like, they can only film it in March for some fucking reason. Everything's lining up. They're like, "We gotta go now, action."
We'll just add Hellboy in post.
Yeah, we'll add him in post. It's fine. Also, I'll find a way to keep mentioning Babylon throughout this whole year somehow.
Yeah, every podcast we'll bring up Babylon. Like, take a shot.
I can't. I need to. I check on iTunes the other day. Like, come on, I need to just inject this movie into my veins again.
Yeah, surely it can't be that far away. Dylan, every single week, you know, there's a bunch of different projects announced, different casting news. It's hard to cover it all, but we like to talk about some of these projects. This segment we like to call "Would You Want to Invest?" I'll give Dylan a project with some casting and directors, or just a plot line. And
or
Dylan
a month
will
they're
let
just making it. A month they're just filming it.
Yeah, it could be out, could be done, but by next week for a winner. And Dylan will let me know if you would want to fully invest, partially invest, or not invest, and history will be the judge of whether Dylan is correct or not. All right, let's jump into this week's iteration. Porna Gaganath from Never Have I Ever in Defending Jacob has joined the cast of the untitled Apple original film thriller starring George Clooney and Brad Pitt from writer, producer, and director John Watts. Hailing from Apple Studios, the thriller follows two lone wolf fixers assigned to the same job. Previously announced cast also includes Austin Abrams and Amy Ryan.
Yeah, I'll fully invest in that. That sounds like a winner between Watts and the cast and Apple TVs generally.
You know what it sounds like? Sounds like The Grey Man.
What was the plot of that?
The Russo's movie.
Oh, yeah, but was that the plot? I thought
not precisely, but there were a lot of like similar characters, I guess.
Yeah, but like this
two fixers, two assassins.
Yeah, but this will be a good version of that.
Okay. It's just funny because obviously, John Watts comes from the same Marvel system, well, yeah. Kind of, yeah. Yeah. All right, next project. Vin Diesel and David Twohy are reuniting for Riddick Furia, the fourth installment of the action series that launched with the 2000 hit Pitch Black. Twohy will direct his script. Diesel will star and produce under his One Race Films banner alongside Samantha Vincent, who will also produce. In the new film, Riddick finally returns to his home world, a place he barely remembers and one he fears might be left in ruins by the Necromongers. But there he finds other Furians fighting for their existence against their new enemy, and some of these Furians are more like Riddick than he could have ever imagined.
I'm all in. I'm fully investing. Have you watched any of the Riddick movies?
I have not watched any of these films.
Yeah, so they're very, like, obviously they're very hit or miss.
Because it's Pitch Black.
Yeah, so
Chronicles of Riddick.
The Chronicles of Riddick, yeah. And then Riddick. Yeah, I think it was just called Riddick. I can't remember if I had a subtitle. And because Pitch Black is, in my opinion, fantastic. Chronicles and Riddick, they're fine. Like I actually don't feel like any of them are bad. But obviously Chronicles and Riddick aren't anywhere near as good as the first one. But I don't feel like ever any of the sequels are bad, straight up bad. They're still enjoyable for what they are, which is this like sort of sci-fi space thing. And each movie stands on its own. Like there's barely anything really connecting them. It's just Riddick somewhere else now, and something happens, like things. But yeah, I really like all of them. So I'm keen. I'm keen for this. And the director's the dude behind the original. He's it's the same guy. So
same guy, all films.
Same guy. I'm down. Let's go.
All right. 6-time Tony Award winner Audra McDonald and Best Actor in a Musical Tony winner Miles Frost have joined the cast of Ava DuVernay's latest film, inspired by Pulitzer Prize winner Isabel Wilkerson's Cased, The Origins of Our Discontent. The two joined previously announced cast Arjun Ellis, who was in the lead role, alongside Niecy Nash, Vera Farmiga, Nick Offerman, Colin Nielsen, John Berenthal, and Jasmine Cephas Jones. Written and directed by DuVernay, she was producing alongside veteran collaborator Paul Garnis of Array Filmworks. A bestseller and shortlisted for several awards, Wilkerson's Cased examines racism in America through the prism of social, economic, and cultural delineation and pillars of exclusion. Cast has begun filming for several weeks in Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah, I will invest. Not fully, but I'll invest.
Interesting to know, this article apparently was once a Netflix film, but it doesn't seem like it's one anymore.
Why?
I don't know. It just never elaborates on it. So yeah, that's interesting. Staying on mentioning Broadway people, Aggregate Films is developing and will produce a feature adaptation of the off-Broadway play Amy and the Orphans, with Jamie Brewer set to reprise the title role, which earned her both a Theatre World Award and a Drama Desk Award. In 2018, Lindsay Ferrentino will adapt her play for the screen, also here making her directorial debut. In Amy and the Orphans, three siblings come together in Montauk after the death of their father and confront the truths of their childhood. Amy has Down syndrome and has spent almost her entire life in group homes, and her older siblings, Maggie and Jacob, come to realize that she is perhaps a different person than they had thought.
Nah. I got nothing. None of this does anything for me. Other than you saying it's won awards, which would be the only reason I would realistically put any money into it. Otherwise, that plot does nothing for me, and I don't know anything about it prior to this when you just mentioned it. So I'm going to say no, I'm not investing.
Wow.
So.
Okay.
I hate the theatre.
Yep. 2-time Oscar winner Anthony Hopkins will team with Top Gun Maverick's Glenn Powell in Locked, a remake of the Argentinian action thriller 4x4. for ZQ Entertainment and Rami Productions. David Yarvotsky is set to direct. He and Sam Raimi collaborated recently on Night Books. Locked in an intense character-driven thriller about a thief who breaks into a luxury SUV only to realize that he stumbled into a complex and deadly trap set by a mysterious figure.
I'll fully invest. I've heard of it but never watched the original film. I know people spoke highly of it, or like at least I saw people tweet about it that said it was good. So that's what I mean by that. Yeah, I'm keen, but also it just reminds me that you read that out. I was like, when the fuck's that William Dafoe movie coming out?
It just debuted in Berlin.
Okay, there you go.
So yeah,
I was like, oh, it gets trapped and whatever. I was like, oh yeah, when's that movie out?
Ben Stiller is setting an acting return with Three Identical Strangers, a high-profile limited series package that just hit the premium streaming marketplace. Stiller is in final negotiations to headline and executive produce the series, a multi-decade family drama inspired by the incredible true story of three identical brothers separated at birth. The project hails from Party of Five co-creator Amy Lippman. Set in New York over several decades, Three Identical Strangers tells the story of Bobby Shafran, David Kellman, and Eddie Galland, three complete strangers who inadvertently discover they are identical triplets separated at birth. When the 19-year-olds' joyous reunion catapults them to international fame, it also sets a chain of extraordinary and disturbing events in motion. Still is slated to play the older version of the brothers.
Yeah, I'll fully invest. I haven't watched the thing, but you watched it, right?
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah,
interesting story.
Are you excited for this?
I'm interested to see how they dramatize it. Obviously, there's a bunch of different things that are missing, I guess, because they can kind of fill in the gaps with visual storytelling, I guess, that they didn't have footage of. You know what I mean? So now they can capture the moment of the two brothers finding each other and then them finding out they're triplets, and that kind of stuff. So yeah, and then kind of their life after that. Obviously they're going to cast somebody else other than Ben Stiller to play them as younger because Ben Stiller is quite old. He's definitely could not pull off a 19-year-old. So yeah,
he blew, what's it called? Blue Moons. No, what's it?
Blue.
The fuck is his post called? It's Blue something, isn't it? I swear.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Fuck. Now I have to look.
Nothing makes you look younger than doing that, and he did it in that Super Bowl ad. So, and he looked like a young man.
Blue Steel. Mm-hmm. This was Blue Steel.
There you go, Blue Steel.
Anyway, all right. Actor turned filmmaker Alex Winter has set the murder mystery The Adults, starring Evan Rachel Wood, Josh Gad, and Anthony Carrigan as his next project behind the camera, with plans to also act in the pick. The film, penned by novelist Michael M.B. Galvin, who has previously adapted his own works Fat Kid Rules the World and Freaks Talks About Sex for the big screen, follows siblings Megan and Nathan, who are barely hanging on in present-day America. Their lives are completely upended when they discover a dead body long buried in their parents' basement, sending them down a rabbit hole of crime and murder.
That sounds fun. So I will invest. Not fully, but I shall invest.
Okay. Eli Roth's Thanksgiving, a full-length feature based on the infamous fake trailer from Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino's Grindhouse, is gaining momentum as Patrick Dempsey is in talks to star. Spyglass Media is producing the pick, with Roth directing. Jeff Rendell is penning the script, with plans to shoot in March. The Thanksgiving trailer presented the gory teaser about a pseudo film in which a slasher makes his own carving board out of the inhabitants of a Massachusetts town that makes a big annual fuss over the annual Turkey Day. One of the pivotal scenes involved Roth himself separated from his head while in throes of passion with a date in a convertible. It was popular enough that the plans formulated to make a feature-length bloodfest with Roth at the helm, but 15 years have passed since the original Grindhouse release, and you could be forgiven for thinking that Thanksgiving was never coming.
I will invest because I feel like there's still going to be an audience for this. I'm not going to be super excited for myself, really, but yeah, all those trailers, obviously Machete was the big success story. It spawned two movies out of that one trailer. The one I really want to see is Edgar Wright did one that was just called Nope, but he couldn't do that now anymore.
You can't do that now. It'd have to be Nah.
No, it was Don't, I think, actually. Maybe
Don't.
He said maybe
it was Don't. Yeah.
It was Don't. So, yeah, he still can, because I remember that the fake trailer was just like something, like you'll be like, oh, this creepy house, something. If you think about going inside, don't. Like, so, yeah. That's the one I want.
Paul King, the director of Paddington movies, is putting on his dancing shoes. King has come aboard to direct Sony Pictures' untitled Fred Astaire drama that has Tom Holland attached as the Golden Age film and dance star. Amy Pascal, Rachel O'Connor, Ben Holden, and Josh Hyams are producing. Sony is keeping the logline details under the top hat, but it is known that the project centers on the relationship between Astaire and his sister, Adele Astaire. The two were inseparable for more than 20 years, moving out of a simple Midwestern vaudeville act in the early part of the 20th century to Broadway and London's West End in the 1920s. Adele Astaire was initially the face of the act, but eventually Fred's consummate stage skills eclipsed her. The duo parted in 1932 when the sister married, which was a blow to Fred, but it also turned his focus towards Hollywood dance musicals and subsequently set him on the path to cinematic immortality.
I'll invest. He'll probably win an Oscar, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. Black Bear International has launched international sales on Fred and Ginger, the musical about the passionate and explosive relationship between Hollywood dance legends Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. The project was formerly set up at Amazon, but is hitting the open market with Black Bear and findings at 30 West. As was previously known, BAFTA winner Jamie Bell will play Astaire, the technically driven perfectionist, opposite Margaret Qualley, as the naturally gifted Rogers. The film is aiming to start production later this year. Jonathan Esselstyn from The End of the Fucking World will direct from a script by writer Arish Ashbel.
I don't know. Some of these are hard. No, I'm not investing in that. Nah.
So you're picking the Tom Holland Fred Astaire movie over this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, we'll see.
Tom Holland's way more popular, come on.
I mean, it's interesting because they both him and Jamie Bell played Billy Elliot at different points in their career. Fun fact. Last one. Rainn Wilson and Lil Ray Howery have closed deals to executive produce and star in Code 3, a buddy action comedy from Wayfarer Studios and Circle of Confusion. The film from director Christopher Leone, who did Parallels, follows a day in the life of two overworked, underpaid, and nearly burnt out paramedics. One EMT is so burnt out by the job that he's forcing himself to resign, even though he must embark on one last 24-hour shift to train his replacement. Everything that could happen on the job, from the mundane to extreme, then happens on this final exhilarating day.
Yeah. Yes. Hold on. Go again. Who's doing that one?
Starring Rainn Wilson and Lil Ray Howery, directed by Christopher Leone, who did Parallels.
What's Parallels? Whatever. I'll invest. People watch that. They're kids. Actually, when's the last time John C. Reilly was in a movie?
Wow, it's just done, but
yeah, I was just thinking. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, all these TV shows and stuff.
Yeah, I've never heard of this Parallels movie.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, I'll invest.
Came straight to Netflix. All right, I guess we'll find out in a couple of years' time with whether Dylan make right choices on it. Or maybe sooner if they quickly start filming. Could be out next year. Let's give some thumbs to some trailers. Of course, you can find all the trailers that we're about to talk about in the show notes, or by going to explosion.com and finding the episode there. First trailer for this week is Extrapolations, created by Scott Z. Burns, starring Meryl Streep, Sienna Miller, Kit Harington, David Diggs, Edward Norton, Diane Lane, Taha Rahim, Yara Shahidi, Matthew Reese, Gemma Chan, David Schwimmer, Ardash Gaurav, Kerry Russell, Marion Cotillard, Forrest Whitaker, Indria Varma, Tobey Maguire, Harry Neff, and Gaz Chowdhury. In the near future, the effects of climate change have become embedded in people's everyday lives. 8 interwoven stories explore the intimate, life-changing choices that must be made when the planet is changing faster than the population. Dylan, what do you think of the trailer for Extrapolation?
I think this is fake news. Is what I think.
I don't know. I don't think it's news at all.
I think it's
a drama
news.
series.
I think we should cancel this TV show. No, I thought it was good. I'm very keen. I like how Apple has this. They've done a few shows now that I guess are more just, what do you call
Anthology.
it? Like, anthology, that's the word. Yeah, anthology, I think. So, but no, I think it looks cool. I like Scott. What's his face has done like
Scott Z. Burns. Obviously, the one that they pushed at the start was he wrote Contagion. Can't imagine why that would be important, or a film that a lot of people would have seen.
Contagion. I mean, I was thinking the Report and Bourne movies or whatever. Anyway, but yeah, Contagion, sure. The cast looks good. The stories look interesting. It doesn't seem like super over the top or dramatized. It just seems sort of more realistic, I guess, in affecting or potential realistic ways that it could affect the world and Pip's life. So, yeah, I'm keen for this one.
Yeah, I think this obviously, 2 thumbs up for me as well. I think it looks really good. Obviously a stacked cast. Looks like they've got a clear vision of how fucked up the world could get, and like, obviously, this is a show that kind of clearly has an agenda, but it's not a bad agenda. Let's say of showing you how terrible the world could be if we don't start combating climate change now.
We're already fucked. That's fine.
I mean, we're already fucked, so maybe this is just telling us, he told us what's going to happen in Contagion, so maybe this is what's going to actually happen to us. We'll
all be watching this. This will be popular on Netflix when the waves are flooding when your house is floating in the water.
I can't remember what the line exactly was, but it's like, we're all going to die, but at least we'll get buried in gold coffins. Look forward. So this is coming to Apple TV on the 17th of March. Next trailer, Children of the Corn, directed by Kurt Wimmer, starring Elena Kampouris, Kate Moyer, Calvin Mulvey, and Bruce Spence. Possessed by a spirit in a dying cornfield, a 12-year-old girl in Nebraska recruits other children in a small town to go on a bloody rampage and kill all the adults, anyone else who opposes her. Soon, a bright high school student who won't go along with the plan becomes the town's only hope for survival. Dylan, what do you think of this trailer?
I'm very confused because when I looked this up on IMDb after watching the trailer, was it shown at a film festival or something like that? Is that what it goes? Because it has like a 2020 original release date.
Yes, I'm not 100% sure what the story is, but this film.
Because it says Saratoga, Florida or something, 23rd of October 2020.
So I'm guessing it did get shown at some sort of film festival. And potentially it's just not had... no one bought it.
Produced in 2020, but released and not released until 2023, yeah. How weird. I'm going one.
Here's an interesting fact. Principal photography began in New South Wales in early 2020, at the beginning of COVID-19, and wrapped in June.
All right, there you go. Interesting. I'm going one up, one down. I have no major love for Children of the Corn as like a Stephen King story. The original movie is like whatever, sort of. It's like a mid '80s cheap horror movie. I've never watched any of the sequels or anything like that, so but yeah, I'll be keen to watch this one. The trailer one up, one down because although it looks to be like serious and as serious as you can do the story, I guess, and have some interesting kids kills and kids being fucking freaky and whatever else, I sort of hated the Grindhouse voiceover thing.
Yes, that's my major cry. Why? Yeah. What's up with the voiceover? It feels like such a unnecessary throwback. Yeah.
There are kids.
There are
they
children.
Will fucking kill you.
They're gonna kill everybody.
They're children of the corn.
Yeah, so this is one up, one down for me, I think. Especially in the first half of the trailer, where it's just voiceover over the top of everything. I was like, nah, this is clearly not any good. But then once he shuts up, and you see all the grisly shit this little kid is doing. Talking about He Who Walks, I want to say. I think. I'm like, fuck. Who would want to have children after watching that? Like, what are you going to do? Kill all the adults? For starters. Yep. I mean, yeah. Yeah. So this is... So it's releasing in theaters in America on the 3rd of March. And it's set to be released on Shudder on the 21st of March. I did not see it listed on Shudder's currently released slate here in Australia. So, but that could change.
Have they sent out an email?
I checked the most recent press releases from Shudder. Nothing there. Maybe we have to hit them up. Like, what the fuck is up with these
Maybe it's only in America.
What is up with these corn children?
Yeah. Maybe it's not Shudder in Australia. Maybe someone else has got it.
Maybe. Alright, next trailer. Lucky Hank. Created by Aaron Zellman and Paul Lieberstein. Starring Bob Odenkirk, Muriel Enos, Olivia Scott Welch, Diedrich Bader, Sarah Armini, Cedric Yarbrough, Suzanne Cryer. William Henry Hank Devereaux Jr., the unlikely English department chairman at the badly underfunded Railton College in the Pennsylvania Rust Belt, is coping with a midlife crisis. Just as Hank's life begins to unravel, his wife Lily also begins to question the path she is on as a vice principal of the local high school, as the choices she has made. Told in the first person by Hank, the series is adapted from Pulitzer Prize-winning author Richard Russo's novel Straight Man, which was inspired by his own experiences teaching at colleges. Dylan, what do you think of Bob Odenkirk's first project post Better Call Saul?
Yeah, I'm keen. I'm definitely keen to watch this. I think it looks good. It's nothing like Saul Goodman as a character. It's kind of funny because it's more like Walter White without the cancer and drugs, but I mean more of it just more of just a grumpy sort of teacher thing going on. But yeah, I like the trailer. I'll go double thumbs up. From the dude who did The Office, American Office, so it doesn't look anything like that, really. But yeah, I'm keen.
Yeah, 2 thumbs up from me. Bob Odenkirk fights a goose. Done. Apparently, it's an ongoing feud, so I'm looking forward to seeing that played out. But yeah, it looks very funny. Obviously, looking at teaching and being in college and midlife crisis they're a thing. So yeah. So this is releasing weekly starting on the 20th of March, and episodes were releasing here in Australia on Stan.
Good old Stanley.
Good old Stan. Next trailer, Daisy Jones and the Six. Created by Scott Neustadter and Michael H. Weber. Starring Riley Keough, Sam Claflin, Camilla Morone, Suki Waterhouse, Nabia B., Will Harrison, Josh Whitehouse, Sebastian Chacon, Tom Wright, Timothy Oliphant. In 1977, Daisy Jones and the Six were on top of the world. The band had risen from obscurity to fame, and then, after a sold-out show at Chicago's Soldier Field, they called it quits. Now, decades later, the band members agreed to reveal the truth. Dylan, what do you think of trailer for Daisy Jones and the Six?
Double thumbs up. It looks like fun to me. It looks like a fun sort of romance drama with the musical backing. The trailers it had me questioning. I'm like, is this some like really popular band I've never heard of? Like, is this a true story? And no, it's not. So it's just based on a book or whatever. So yeah, I like the cast. Like the setting. Yeah, double thumbs up.
Yeah, this is double thumbs up from me. I've seen the book cover. Like, I've seen the book in bookstores. I'm like, oh, that sounds like an interesting story. And every time I've seen it, it's had the little sticker saying, coming soon as Amazon Prime series or Prime Video series. I'm like, I'm going to wait till watch the TV series. And now it's here. And it looks good.
Really, what you're saying is the sticker makes you not want to buy the book.
Yeah, why would you put that sticker on the book? It's like them putting the book jackets on there. It's like, now a major motion picture. It's like,
you know what's going to happen next time you walk into that bookstore. won't have the sticker on there. It'll have the reprinted cover with the live action cover. Yeah.
It's like, well, now I know there's a TV series to go watch. I don't have to wait. I can just do it now. But yeah, obviously it's looks really good. Double thumbs up if I didn't say that before. Interesting to read. The book is inspired by Fleetwood Mac, and obviously the events around them. So I mean, once you realize that, it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? But yeah, it looks good. The music sounded good. I'm keen. So yeah, this is coming to Prime Video Friday the 3rd of March. Not far away. Last trailer for this week. Tetris. Directed by John S. Baird. Starring Taron Egerton, Toby Jones, Rick Yoon, Ben Miles, Sofia Lebedeva, Nikita Efimov, Anthony Bowles A.N. Based on the true story of American video game salesman Hank Rogers and his discovery of Tetris in 1988, when he sets out to bring the game to the world, he enters a dangerous web of lies and corruption behind the Iron Curtain. Dylan, what do you think of the trailer for Tetris?
I believe I described it as Argo, but with Tetris to you and Buddy when I was playing Apex up night, so that's how I'll go with this. Double thumbs up. I think this looks really good. It looks surprisingly good considering when they announced they were doing a movie about Tetris. I'm like, the blocks fighting, like what's the what's the go? But yeah, I have no idea how much of what's in this trailer is just bullshit. How much is just true story, but nonetheless I think Taron Egerton looks good in this, and I think it looks like an entertaining movie, so yeah, I'm keen to watch it. But I just found it very funny that my first thought as soon as the trailer ended, I'm like okay, so it's like Argo, but instead of breaking out American citizens from a foreign country, it's breaking out Tetris from fucking Russia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is double thumbs up from me. This is easily going to be the best video game movie this year, maybe. I don't know. Mario could still be good. But yeah, this looks fantastic. Like, obviously, we all know, like, Tetris, how big a deal it was. There's this awesome moment where he's in the, I guess, Nintendo headquarters, and he gets shown the first Game Boy for the first time. Freaking crazy as, like, video game fans. Like, obviously, the Game Boy is, like, one of the most important consoles ever. And yeah, obviously Tetris, a massive game known everywhere. Everybody knows Tetris. Everybody's played Tetris. Yeah, even just the moment where he's like in his apartment talking to his wife, he's like, these two kids are like got their eyes glued on playing Tetris on the console. It's like, have you ever heard this apartment so quiet? So yeah, it's fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it. And it is releasing on Apple TV Plus on the 31st of March. Let's look forward to that. All right, let's jump into this week's top 3.
Definitely in the top 3.
And seeing as it was the BAFTAs this week, I figured let's do top 3 British movies. I didn't classify it any more than that. They've just got to be British. So Dylan, what's your number 3?
So I saw you post this and I looked last night this morning, it's top 3 British films, and I went, you fucking, it's just top 3 British movies. Just like, you just like make it the most like serious. Anyway,
top 3 movies with women in it.
Yeah, I went top 3 British movies without spending more than 2 minutes looking at it into it, or else I would just go too hard trying to work this out. That's like asking, just top 3 favorite movies, John. I'm like, calm down. It's number 3. No, I don't actually. It's hard. It's hard. There's a lot of British films. I don't know if you know, Ash. A lot of British films. Number 3, I've gone with. Firstly, I cut it off. They had to be from 2000s. I was like, I just got to like set it a year straight away. Or else I'll go forever. And then I ended up picking a bunch of stuff that's more light in tone. So there you go.
Because that's what the British are known for.
Yeah, not really, but that's. I mean, look, it's not on here, so I'll say it. Like originally, I had like The Witch and Lighthouse, and like I just had like Olive Robert Eggers stuff, and then like had a bunch of other things. And I'm like, no, it's just number 3, Sing Street.
Ooh, good choice.
So, one of the greatest fictional band stories that you could ever watch. Follows this kid. Was he like 16? I guess. He forms a band. And he like lives in like one of those small British villages where Kieran Marshall grew up, I think. And then
No, it's an island, so I mean,
okay,
probably.
true, it's an island, yeah, because he does talk about with his brother about leaving or whatever. So, but yeah, it's just a very wholesome. It's got fantastic music. It's got all these really great characters. Bunch of sort of breakout performances in it. If you haven't watched Sing Street, I would definitely highly recommend.
All right. My number 3. It's Hot Fuzz, directed by Edgar Wright. Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, they're policemen in the small town, and then a bunch of murders start happening, and it turns into an action movie. Who would have thought? Fantastic. So much fun. Fantastic cast. Yeah. Just my favorite of Edgar Wright's films.
I was going to say, did you just pick 3 Edgar Wright movies?
No. No, that would be too easy. Yeah, just a really good time. We have this friendship that's bombed over the film. And, you know, lots of ridiculousness, including them chasing a goose. Lots of geese in this episode. Dylan, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is Edgar Wright, Shaun of the Dead. My favorite of Edgar Wright's films, his first one. So yeah, it's a zombie movie, but it just turns it on its head and just makes it funny. And got these, of course, if you're a fan of zombie movies, there's lots of shout outs and like Easter eggs and stuff like that in here to find. But I think the reason the movie's so good is that even without getting any of these things, like even without being understanding why Hey Barbara and all these, they're coming to get you, Barbara, or like how all of these are references, you don't need to, because the movie's made so well that you just enjoy the characters there as they are and find it all very funny, which it is. I've watched this movie countless times. I would happily watch it more and more and more.
All right. My number 2. I don't know if we could do a top 3 British movies and not have a film with Richard Curtis involved. The man behind films like Notting Hill, Four Weddings and the Funeral, Bridget Jones's Diary, Love Actually. But the one that makes my list is About Time. The film starring Donald Gleeson, Rachel McAdams, and Bill Nighy, in which Donald Gleeson learns that he's a time traveler who, falls in love with a woman and, like, also deals with time travel. And how that changes his perspective on life and love and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, fantastic movie. Incredibly moving, incredibly heartbreaking, incredibly romantic. Yeah, fantastic. Dylan, what's your number 1 British film?
My number 1 British film is Paddington 2.
My number 1 British film is Paddington 2.
Of course it is.
I mean, it's the answer.
There's actually a correct answer to this question. Yeah,
it's the best thing that Britain has ever given the world.
Yeah. Talking about bears. So Paddington 2, one of the greatest films of all time. One of Nicolas Cage's new favorite movies of all time as well. So
yeah.
A rare occasion where a sequel's better than the original.
Don't know if it's that rare.
Arguably.
Godfather
Quite
Part 2.
often. Okay, calm down. Just because you watched Scream recently. Yes, obviously got Paddington returning, but I think the reason both Paddingtons are really good. The reason number 2 is just so much more fun is just because all the prison stuff, like the introduction of all those prison characters and the marmalade making and the transformation of the prison into this like just grayscale thing into becomes this floral colored like crazy place and whatever else. It's just, yeah. And then you've got Hugh Grant in this movie has greatly affected his career, even if I don't know if he's said as much, because he came into this doing this wild, wacky character, putting all these different performances on, and dressing up and whatever else. And ever since then, he's just been a lot more open and got cast in more wild roles, particularly obviously sticking with Guy Ritchie. But none of that, I don't think any of that happens without.
I think I think before this movie, he'd kind of been relegated to rom-com fare. Yeah, been typecast, and then this gave him a new lease on life. Yeah, it's just a fantastic, heartwarming film. Like filled with fun action set pieces as well, weirdly.
What
but
other
yeah,
film
it's
does a bear chase down a man on a bike on a dog?
on a dog. Yeah. Don't know. But yeah, super heartfelt, heartwarming, just, the kind of nice movie that we want in the world. So yes, thank you, Britain, for giving us Paddington 2.
And Marmalade.
I don't know if did they invent Marmalade?
Paddington did.
But I don't think he did invent Marmalade.
I think he did.
Pretty
I
sure
don't
his
think
aunt
anyone-
invented it.
Yeah, well, Paddington brought it to Britain.
Dylan, this week, what do you want to watch?
I would. So I got again. I don't think anything I want to watch is in my local cinema, so I don't like. I'm just gonna have to forget that as part of the thing. But I would like to watch Winnie the Pooh. As I'm giving you two
Again?
movies
Still?
this week. No, I haven't watched it.
You going for it again? Second week
Winnie-
you've mentioned it.
Oh, did I say it last week?
Yes.
Okay, then it's fine. Then I'll just give you one answer this week. I would like to watch Women Talking.
Pretty sure you mentioned that last week.
Okay, well, that's like, what is new this week?
Both of this. Cocaine Bear!
Is that actually out this week, though? Are
Yes!
you sure?
It releases on the 23rd.
I would like to watch Cocaine Bear this week.
Also, Missing is out this week. I don't know if that's something you want to...
Is it?
Yes!
My list is not up to date then. Or my thing froze or something, because I swear I looked before and I couldn't see any of it. It's like showing me last week's. Let's see here. Let me close this tab. Reopen. No, it's still showing me all the old. What the fuck's going on? Oh, no,
What are
never
you
mind.
looking
That's
at?
wrong. After Sun. No. Okay, After Sun, Cocaine Bear. No, listen, I was looking on Flicks, but.
That's where I was looking as well. I don't know what...
They fucked me, I think. Oh, no, it said, like, this week.
Trying to
so
sabotage you.
I think it glitched out, but now that I've refreshed it, it does say the correct movies. Yeah, so, alright, I'll go Cocaine Bear then, obviously. It's dumb. Yeah, it's but...
Yeah. Dumb answer.
It's like the movie
Jeez.
I want to look forward to is called Cocaine Bear. It's a dumb answer. Yes. Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Cocaine Bear as well, but I'm going to say After Sun. Finally coming to Australian cinemas, wide-ish release, I guess. So yeah, after missing several opportunities to go see it early, I'll finally be able to see After Sun if I can get myself to go to the cinema. All right, let us know what you're looking for, what you want to watch this week. Your top 3 British films, or anything else we talked about on this week's episode of What Do You Want to Watch by going to explosion.com/Twitter or jump to Discord at explosion.com/Discord. If you want to help us here, if you want to help us out here at the podcast, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser. Leave us 5 stars, and you can leave 5 stars, or just tell people about the show. And if you like this episode, thought it's worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosion.com/support. About a bit of housekeeping here at the very end of the episode, where probably not many people are listening. Next week's episode going to be late. Probably Wednesday, Thursday night. I'm not sure. We have to figure it out. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.